And we are live. Good evening, everyone. This is Fumbi from We So Nerdy, and I am here back again this evening with Katie for our weekly discussion of Outlander Season 3. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Of Lost Things. Katie, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm okay. I'm not okay, but it was such an emotional episode for so many different reasons. You had Jamie's side of things and you had Claire's side of things, and it was just really emotional, and it sort of, I don't know, it just kind of wrung you out. Like you just feel just tired after watching all of that drama unfold.
Absolutely. I have watched that episode 3 times, I think. And that is exactly how I feel. I just feel exhausted. I feel weighed down for a whole lot of reasons that we are going to get to tonight. But first, I want to begin by mentioning that today is actually We So Nerdy's 3rd birthday. We launched, yay! We launched on October 1st, 2014, and we have been having an absolute blast ever since. And I want to thank every single one of you guys. I can't express to you how grateful I am that you've been following We So Nerdy. Whether or not you've been there since 2014 or you just found us literally yesterday, we appreciate you so much. We are so grateful for every comment, every tweet, every follow, every interaction, any and everything. We love being part of this community of fans, and we are so grateful for your support. I need to take just a little bit of time to say a special thanks to Katie, who is the best right-hand man, right-hand woman that I could ever ask for. Katie girl, I love you dearly as a friend, and I love you dearly as my partner in We So Nerdy, and I'm so grateful to you. I also thank the rest of Team We So Nerdy, TJ, Marisol, Becca, as well as Shay. You guys are my Team We So Nerdy sisters, and I love you so much. I love you guys. Okay, also, right now we are running a giveaway to celebrate our 3-year blogiversary. So the link is actually down below. So definitely check it out. You can enter to win prizes like a Wonder Woman Blu-ray, a Netflix subscription for 3 months, a Fandango gift card, and of particular interest to those of you who are watching tonight is that we are giving away a paperback copy of the Voyager book with the Stars tie-in cover, as well as a pre-order for the Outlander Season 3 soundtrack. So again, definitely click on the link below and go enter. And thank you. Happy blogiversary, Katie.
Oh, happy blogiversary to you. And I was not expecting all of that at all because that was not in the outline.
No, it wasn't in the outline that I sent you, and I did that on purpose.
And so I have many emotions right now, but I'm so thankful for all of you who keep watching us and commenting and being a part of We So Nerdy and this community, because it's so wonderful. And we're such I love the fandom connection that we have together. And it would just not be right of me to not thank Fumbi for this amazing opportunity she gave me to be a part of this blog, to write about things that I love on a weekly basis, to share my flails and be so supportive and such a wonderful friend. And I love you and adore you, and this We So Nerdy is what it is because of you and your just overall fangirl happiness that you bring, because you're sunshine, and that's it. Like, you're just pure sunshine.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, so that is our
moment. And scene. And scene. That's enough. So again, thank you guys for watching and coming back week after week to hear us talk about Outlander season 3 and all the ups and all the downs. Okay, so yeah, Katie laughs because right before we started this live chat, we were saying to ourselves that this episode is really, really, really tough. It was an emotional one. In a different way than the previous 3 episodes were emotional. As I said, I've watched this episode, I think 3 times. It took me about 3.5 hours to write my recap, which is live. So click the link down below. It took me about 3 hours to write the recap. And the recap is over 3,000 words. That's without sort of anything else in it, just the pure recap. But I just had way too many feelings. I had way too many feelings. And I've lost things. Jamie and Claire, they continue to lose so much. And it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating to watch. So this week, let's start things general. The first time you watched the episode, Katie, right after you finished, what were you feeling? What were your feels?
Oh, goodness. After I first watched this episode, you had to talk me into watching it because I've been putting it off for so long. And I finally sat down, I finally watched it. And gosh, I guess I'm going to say this, and and I hope that it comes across okay. I'm not uncomfortable with sex scenes. I'm not uncomfortable with relationships, just because I feel those are such human connections. And I understand that in some ways these things are sometimes for comfort, sometimes for romance, sometimes just for pure lust. That being said, this is the first time that I ever watched an episode that I was just like, I think that was a little too graphic. I don't know if I needed all of that. Because I guess I'm so attached to Jamie. And it's not the fact that I think he's cheating on Claire. And I know we're going to get to this in a minute. I just felt that Jamie was coerced into this in a way. And the outcome of it is something he can't control. And this episode of Lost Things, it encompasses so much, because I think Jamie he's lost his agency. He's lost his sense of self. It goes beyond just things that he's lost, like his land and material things. At this point, I think that Jamie kind of has lost what makes him Jamie, because he doesn't get to go by his name. He doesn't get to own his past. And, Geneva and her proposition kind of further push him into something that shows that he has no control anymore.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I think back to last week when we were talking, and we said that, when are we going to reach rock bottom? I think rock bottom was tonight. We have reached rock bottom. I think everything you have identified is exactly the things that I identify that stand out to me. That he is so disconnected from the things, well, it seems to me at least, and I mean, certainly the people who are watching and hopefully who will comment will share their thoughts and their perspectives. But I mean, it seems to me that Jamie has lost connection with anything that makes him Jamie Fraser. And it is really, really, really devastating to watch. I think for me, the final scenes of that episode, gosh, and even like writing the recap, just going back and forth between Jamie saying goodbye, Jamie saying goodbye to Willie and leaving Hellwater, and then flashing back to Claire saying goodbye to Jamie, right? Saying goodbye to Jamie again, or this process of searching for Jamie, and going back to Boston and like going back and forth and back and forth. And then the final scene where Jamie rides off, like he's on his horse, his back is straight, he's staring forward, his face is so tight and firm, his jaw is clenching, there are tears in his eyes, riding away, facing forward, away from his son. As far as he knows, the only child he will ever have in his life. And to me, knowing Jamie Fraser, knowing who he is, what he prioritizes, that is rock bottom. That's rock bottom, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I agree completely. Like, this is rock bottom for both of them. And for Jamie especially, because how many children does Jamie have to go through losing? I mean, he's lost Faith. He's lost Bree, even though he doesn't know her. And now he's lost Willie. And how many times does Jamie have to lose his children? And not just lose them and they're gone, you know, but lose them knowing that somewhere they're surviving, but he can't be a part of their life. And that's what it is with Bree, and that's what it is with Willie, is he knows they're out there, or he hopes that they're out there and doing well, but he can't be the father that he wanted to be, because Jamie always wanted to be a dad. And that's heartbreaking. It
is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. To me, it's devastating. But it's rock bottom, right? Because what happens now, right? What happens? What else? What kind of life can he now build for himself? Is I think the question, right? In the absence of the people that he loves most, in the absence of the people that are so important to him, what else? I mean, what is there left for him to do?
And that's kind of what I've been wondering, because, you know, I kind of have a general idea of what happens because I've read Outlander Wiki. But I've read the book. So I'm missing some crucial details that I'm sure I'll get from the TV show. But at this point, Jamie has hit rock bottom. And usually when you hit rock bottom, everyone's like, the only place left to go is up. But what is he going to attach himself to on the way up to help try and make himself feel like Jamie Fraser again? Like, what will he connect to from his past? And this is what I've been thinking about recently. What's he going to connect to from his past that makes him feel like Jamie again? And those decisions are the ones that have me going, we've hit rock bottom, but I think there's more.
It's really interesting that you asked that, because I think that exact question that you asked, I think we are going to come back to that question, because I mean, I agree with you completely, right? I mean, when Jamie gets back to Lollybrook, when he gets back to Scotland, what or who will he reach out to, link with, in order to try to build a life for himself. And I think some of his choices will not make us very happy. At least they certainly didn't in the book. They did not make me happy at all.
And see, I know this is coming because I think it's too much of a major plot point to leave out. And I'm quite interested to see how they're going to pull this off, considering all the things that have led up to it. And I know that we're going to get to that later in the season, so I'll just like put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
For now. But expect those comments later in the season.
Please do. Please do. Lots of comments.
Lots of comments.
Those comments may not be happy comments.
Now we get to talk about more happy comments.
Oh my gosh. Well, soon, I think. I hope. Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit and let's get into Jamie's time at Hellwater. And I think the best way to do it is just rip the Band-Aid off. So let us start with Jamie and Geneva. So what are your thoughts about their relationship, the way it begins, the way it ends, any sort of bit about it? What are your thoughts about Geneva Dunsany?
Well, see, there's a part of me that wants to look at this very logically. I want to say, okay, she's a young woman who's being forced to marry this old man. She comes from a life of privilege. She's spoiled. She does want to have some agency over her life, but she's a bit of a brat. And she does treat people very badly and kind of rudely. And she uses that power over Jamie. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they made Geneva look very much like Claire. Because she looks like a young version of Claire to me. Like when she stepped out of the coach, I was like, this is purposeful. This is purposeful what's happening here. Because they could have picked someone who was a brunette, who was fair-skinned, who did not look so much, like Claire, but that was a purposeful decision on their part to cast someone who looked so similar, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I think so. I also try to be very logical about this because the entire situation I'm so emotional about it because I have all this bad baggage from when I read the books and just completely rejected this plot line in the books. But I mean, I despise Geneva Dunsany. I despise her. I think she is selfish. I think she is self-serving. I think she is incredibly mean-spirited. But then again, I think, is she any different than a lady? Well, you have to, I guess you compare her to her sister Isabel, who is much.
Yeah, Isabel.
So I don't know, but I just think perhaps it shouldn't surprise me that I think to all the historical romance I've read, and I have read someone like Geneva Dunsany in almost every single historical romance.
Yes, definitely.
I read, right? So you just think like, of course, like she's rich, she's entitled. So like it wouldn't faze her to talk to someone in Jamie's position, like a groomsman, someone who is lower down in the social hierarchy than her. It wouldn't faze her at all to talk to Jamie that way or treat Jamie that way. And I feel like that's just how she would be with anyone who's lower on the totem pole than her. At the same time, though, I try to think about, so I think that she looks like Claire too, but part of me just wonders, is it just like they're two fashionable women living around the same time period. So wouldn't they just sort of, out of propriety, given their social standing, like I compare Claire in season 2 when they were in Paris to like Geneva in tonight's episode, and they're wearing a lot of like similar fashions. So I just wonder if that's why I think they look so alike. Like she's a brunette, her hair's curly, and the fashion as well. So I tried to rationalize it that way, but maybe I'm just making excuses for the sake of making excuses.
Well, in the novels, is Geneva, is she a brunette? Does she have curly hair?
I can't quite remember, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know. I can't remember. If someone who's watching, can you remind us? I can't remember. I mean, it didn't like, to see Geneva as a brunette didn't stand out to me. So that's what makes me think that she was a brunette in the book. But I seem to remember Willie being blonde. I don't know. I can't remember that. I can't remember. But someone correct me.
Well,
but,
see. Oh, sorry. Go
ahead.
Well, I was saying, because she does have. You make a great point about the clothing and just being a lady of means of that time and kind of having some money and influence. That kind of draws that connection to Claire. But her profile, to me, when she turns to the side, that her jawline and like the way her nose kind of slopes just like a little bit. Oh my goodness. I was just kind of got a little emotional, because even though I think Geneva does use her social standing over Jamie, I think I guess I feel horrible for saying this, but not really. Like, there was a part of me that whenever Geneva and Jamie do sleep together, I wanted him to close his eyes, like Claire closed her eyes with Frank.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And I really wanted him to kind of imagine, but then I realized Claire's time with Frank was so soon after she passed through the stones, and that hurt was so new. But this, for Jamie, it's already been several years.
Yeah. It's
several years.
Like 12 years, maybe?
And so at this point, I'm like, Katie, you need to calm down, and you need to think about the timeline.
Yeah.
And not hold Jamie so accountable.
Yeah.
Or not accountable, but just, he shouldn't, at some point, he can't be pining.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's get into it. So there are a couple things that I think. So you already mentioned it, Katie, actually, partly. So this idea that, as I said, I despise Geneva Dunsany. I despise her in the book. I despise her in the show. As I said, I think this entire storyline is really, it's one that I really don't like. I don't find anything redeeming about it.
No.
I know that is super unpopular, and if
that's an unpopular opinion.
I mean, well, let me just say this. If people disagree, I am completely open to hearing and reading and listening to your disagreement. But I personally do not find anything redeeming in this Hellwater storyline.
Okay.
I do not. But what I will say is that compared to the books, I think the TV show handled it a lot better. And let me give you a specific example. So in terms of Geneva, I can't be mad at her for a young woman knowing that she's about to be married off to this man who is old enough to be her father, this lecherous man, And she wants to have a choice in deciding how her first sexual experience will go, right? So she affirmatively chooses Alex Mackenzie, right? She affirmatively chooses him, and she says, I want my first time to be with someone like you. And I can't begrudge her that. I cannot begrudge her that. At the same time, and perhaps I'm going too far. You guys will tell me if I'm going too far. To me, this is rape, right? Because she, in my estimation, she has used her power over him, her social standing, her ability to threaten not only him, but threaten his family in order to coerce him, to blackmail him into sleeping with her. So yeah, maybe Jamie eventually gets to a place where he's willing to be with her like this, but make no mistake, this is non-consensual. I would go as far as to call it rape. He might be physically stronger than Geneva, but she is coercing him. This is sex done against his will, i.e. rape.
Oh, I agree with that completely. Because Geneva, I said, yeah, Geneva. Mm-hmm. She has a position of power. And that power imbalance automatically makes this very problematic in general. But she uses that power imbalance to put Jamie into a position where he can't say no. Because if he does say no, then he risks exposing himself as a Jacobite. He risks his family. He risks everything that he still kind of has back at home. And so, yes, Jamie is stronger. Jamie is capable. But Jamie doesn't want to have anything to do with Geneva, especially sexually. But she does hold the cards. She holds the power. And it may not be a physical power in this sense, but she controls the situation. Mm-hmm. And Jamie knows that. And he has to do what's best for his family. And that includes sleeping with someone that he has no interest otherwise having a sexual relationship with.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it is, I do think it's, you could go so far as to say it is rape.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I when I say that, I genuinely want to hear from you guys. I genuinely want to know, we genuinely want to know your thoughts on this. Because I mean, again, I would go as far, I would call it rape. And the thing is, like, haven't we had enough of Jamie being raped, being sexually manipulated? Like haven't we had enough of it? Right? That's how I'm just sort of talking about how I feel. This is how I feel. But the thing is that what I found fascinating is that in the books, I don't know how to characterize it. So in the books, this happens, right? That Geneva blackmails Jamie. Jamie goes to her room that night, and they begin the process of having sex. And in the books, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I really do seem to remember that in the books, before actual penetration happens, Geneva says stop, that she doesn't want to do this anymore, but Jamie keeps going in the books. So she says she doesn't want to do it anymore. Jamie keeps going. They have sex. Afterwards, she is fine with it, apparently, and wants to do it again, so they do it again, right? So even the way the TV show handled it is very different from the way the books handled it, because from the books, there was definitely coercion from Geneva to Jamie, but there was coercion from Jamie back to Geneva as well in the moment of them actually having sex. So I don't know if that's sort of like a, well, she coerced him and then he coerced her, so that's supposed to cancel it out. Like, I mean, so for me, that entire situation in the book, as I've mentioned to you, is highly problematic for a lot of reasons. But I, given the source material, I think the TV show did the best they could, right? Because they eventually get Jamie to a point where he's like, I don't want to do this, but I understand your position. I understand where you're coming from, and I will do my best to make this a good experience for you.
And honestly, I mean, oh, it's so weird saying this, but I expect nothing less from Jamie, because everything that I've seen in the TV show so far, Jamie very much cares about the women that he's with. He cares about Claire. During his encounter with Mary in the woods, I do think that he wants to, he understands that it's not love, that it's not anything like it's intimate, but it's not, you know, we're going to be together forever. It's comfort. And then with Geneva, he understands where she's coming from, but he also understands that she holds the power. Mm-hmm. He understands why she wants this, but at the same time, she's willing to out him and his past to get what she wants. Yeah. And so Jamie does take care of her. He's very considerate, and he does make it, you know, a good experience for her. Yeah. So much so that as I'm watching it, I'm just like, I don't know if this is necessary. Yeah. I don't know if I need to see all of this, to be honest with you.
So like
I was like, a smile at the end would have been fine, to be honest. But sure, let's go all the way.
All the way.
Yeah.
All the way. They went there.
Yeah, they went
again.
There. And
again. And Jamie got into it. But the thing is, like,
he did. He totally got into it.
I'm trying to be objective, right? Objectively.
My screamy text messages whenever this happened. All of my screamy text messages as I was watching this happen.
Yes. No, I mean, objectively, the scene is hot. The scene is on fire.
Objectively.
I'm saying objectively, Katie. I said objectively.
I had to say objectively to make myself believe objectively.
Objectively. But given the context of the situation, it is highly problematic for several reasons. The conversation that they have where Jamie rolls over, where she's like, I love you, Alex. And she's like, girl, bye, that ain't love.
Exactly. I was like, please don't do this right now. No, you do not love him. Go away.
Like, take your nightgown, cover yourself up.
I know, and Jamie's like, you don't love me, and he's like getting dressed and making this really like as casual as possible. And I'm just, oh my gosh. And of course, she does think she loves him, because if she didn't think she loved him, she would have consummated her marriage.
That is true. See, and that's another thing. If we're talking about the books, I don't know. I don't think that's the same way as the books. I'm pretty sure that Geneva consummated her marriage with Ellesmere in the books. But what is interesting is that in the books, Jamie and Geneva, Jamie asked Geneva that the night that they should be together, Geneva needs to make sure she chooses the right time in her cycle in order to lessen the chance of pregnancy. This is a conversation that Jamie and Geneva have a few times in the book. So it seemed to me in the book, and again, I really want to hear from you guys. It seemed to me in the book that when Geneva ended up becoming pregnant, it was one of two things. It seemed like one of two things. Either Geneva she lacked so much knowledge about her body, about sex and pregnancy, that she just had no sort of frame of reference for figuring out like what her ovulation cycle was, or that she was trying to sort of entrap Jamie, so to speak, by getting pregnant. That's how it seemed to me in the books. But tonight, there wasn't any conversation about pregnancy or anything. But she definitely showed up months later back at Hellwater, fully pregnant, heavily pregnant. And that look that she gave Jamie, well, there was no surprise about who the daddy was. Let's put it that way.
I know, and as I watched it and as I've been thinking about it since my initial viewing, I've thought about that moment where she says, you know, I love you, and Jamie kind of explains to her, you know, this isn't what love is. You'll know what love is. And then she has this opportunity to consummate her marriage, to make, you know, if there was a child created out of her and Jamie's night together, that it wouldn't be considered a bastard because it was only 3 days before her wedding. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it wouldn't have been that early of a baby. I mean, it probably been on time, really. But there's a part of me that thinks Geneva chose this path, that, you know, she put off consummating her marriage, and then she found out she was pregnant, and she was just, you know, let's see what happens. Because maybe in the back of her mind, it's her way of getting Ellesmere to divorce her. To say, hey, you know, she's had an affair, she's done something, I don't want a part of her anymore. Yeah. But I don't really know what's going on in Geneva's mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Geneva is such a one-dimensional character that it's really, for me at least, it's really tough to figure out her motivations and things of that nature, because it could go either way. It could be her, you know, still wanting to make her own choices, decide for herself, that no, you know, she chose her path when she slept with Alex, and, you know, it is what it, you know, what will be, will be. So she isn't going to force herself to cover anything up or do anything with Ellesmere. She's not willing to do that. Or it could just be that she doesn't know anything. Like, she's just that. And I don't know, it seems to me from sort of what I read about the time period, it seems to me that that's entirely possible, that women, especially women of that social standing, know so little about human sexuality that, you know, it just, what happened. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know.
I mean, between the two of us, I think that we've read enough historical romance to have some like background on like the Regency era of England. But it is true, like, women of that social standing, women of a certain birth, they were, you know, it wasn't something about your pleasure. It wasn't something about the things that you gain from this sexual relationship. It was, you're here to bear children. We don't necessarily want to get into the details of how that happens, because, you know, we don't talk about such things because we're ladies. And, you know, I mean, and occasionally you'll get, you know, most of the historical romance novels have the husbands teaching or talking to their wives about those things. And then going back to what you said earlier about Geneva, like, there's always a character like Geneva in historical romance. There is someone who's snotty and bratty and spoiled, who speaks down to other, you know, characters of a lower station. Most of the time, that character isn't getting, you know, the Viscount or the Duke. She's the one who's like the mean girl at the party, and then the wallflower, you know, just runs off, because let's be real, that's how romance works. But, you know, I wish there was more to Geneva, because we have one episode where we meet her, we just see surface level stuff. She has a baby. She dies. and she's gone.
Hello?
Hey, can you
Hey,
hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear. Oh, I see you now. There you are.
Are we still live?
It says we're live.
Okay. So I have no idea what happened there. I apologize. So the last thing I heard is that we were saying that there was a Geneva in every historical romance that we've read. That's the last thing I heard.
Okay, so I said that you know, Geneva is in those historical romances, but she's usually, you know, the mean girl at the balls, the one who is talking bad about, you know, the wallflowers or the, you know, the little, you know, debutantes who aren't going to do so well. But she doesn't ever end up with, you know, the Duke or the Viscount. She's always just kind of like the mean girl who gets pushed to the side. But because of this episode, we see Geneva very one-dimensional, like you said. We see her being you know, rude or using her power for other reasons, and then she dies, and we don't get any more from her. I think we get more from her sister, characterization-wise, than we do from Geneva.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think about what Isabel says about Geneva. So if we think about Geneva from it based on what Isabel has said and based from Isabel's perspective, we can assume that Geneva actually did love Alex, or at least think that she loved Alex, so much so that she would tell her sister and then swear her sister to secrecy. So maybe Geneva did love Alex or think that she loved Alex.
Maybe so. And, you know, I guess it's sort of, I wish we knew. I wish we knew. I think that would add so much more if we knew the depth of, and even if it's unrequited, because you know Jamie or Alex doesn't feel that way for her, mm-hmm. It would still, there would be another dimension added to that relationship that's not there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I am always sorry to see a young woman die before her time, especially in childbirth, that, you know, she isn't able to see her son grow up. So I am sorry about that. I am sorry about that circumstance. But again, I'll say it. I said it once and I'll say it again. I don't think there's anything at all edifying about this story, this Jamie Geneva storyline. I don't see, I said it, I hate it in the books, and I hate it in the TV show. So.
And I agree. I mean, why give Jamie a son when you know he's wanted a son and then never allow him to be a part of his son's life in the way that he'd want to? Mm. It just seems so hurtful. Like, he does deserve some happiness and some peace at some point.
Mm. But I mean, he does spend, I think when Jamie leaves Hellwater, Willie is 8, I think. So at least they had 8 years together, and we know Willie loved his Mac, or I mean, to the extent that they could have that sort of relationship, given that he's the young boy is the Earl of Ellesmere. But I mean, it seemed Jamie taught him what he knew, and like so much so that even Willie was like in the stables, like helping Jamie to like clean the carriages and stuff. So they did have a really close relationship. So, I mean, for what it's worth, at least they had it. At least they had that for a time.
And that was so lovely to watch. It was so wonderful to see Jamie teach his son things, to see him teaching him ride a horse. Because we know that Jamie loves horses, and that's such a big part of who he is, and teaching his son that was so lovely. And I think that's what broke my heart so much more at the end of the episode, is because this was Jamie's way of imparting wisdom to his son in a way that he could while still maintaining that distance.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and like when when Jamie is praying and they have like, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When Willie comes in and he's like, I want to be a stinking papist just like you. And I can't even speak in complete sentences because it's so emotionally devastating. And he baptizes him William James. And he's like, James is your special papist name. It's my special papist name too. And you're just like, why? This is so painful. This is so painful. But that's the connection that they have, you know, like they have the name James. They're both stinking papists now. Jamie gives him the snake carving, like his brother Willie gave him the Sawney carving. So he makes a carving, writes Willie on it, and gives it to Willie. So like there's that connection. Like you are, in theory, in actuality, you are William Fraser. You'll never be William Fraser, but you are William Fraser.
I loved that scene. I loved when Willie kind of asked him, you know, what are you doing? You know, what are you what is going on here? And he does, you know, he does, I guess, baptize him and give him that name, you know, you're William James. My heart just, it like grew, but then it also broke because that was Jamie's, I don't want to say, it's sneaky, but at the same time, it's Jamie's way of giving his name and giving his you know, legacy to his son, even though he can't claim it.
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah. Giving him something. Giving him something of his that he can carry along, take along with him. But that, gosh, you know, it had to hurt, right? That the whispers that, oh, Willie spent so much time with Mackenzie, they're starting to look alike. And then they're through that carriage window, like Jamie looks and he sees and he's like, yo, we do really look alike. And this is going to get hella problematic soon. This is going to get bigly problematic soon.
Yeah. That one scene where Geneva's mother says, you know, he's spending so much time around Mac that he's starting to look like him. And, you know, we always jokingly say that about like people and their dogs and stuff like that. But no, seriously, like this kid really looks like Mac, and Mac's been around for a while. Eventually they're going to make that connection. And it's so like Jamie to be that self-sacrificing that he says, to protect you, to protect your place, I'm going to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what he does. And like, so taking a step back a little bit, the only people who actually know the truth are Isabel and Lord John Grey, right? So yeah. I wonder about Isabel a little bit, because is she just, like, do we assume, are we just supposed to assume that she's just that great of a person, that considerate of a person, that she would keep Jamie's secret? Or does she, maybe she doesn't view it as keeping Jamie's secret, she views it more as keeping her sister's secret, protecting her nephew? I guess I'm just, in particular, it's the hug at the end that gets me, that when Isabel hugs him and says, you know, we'll take care of your son. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. I guess I'm trying to figure out what her motivations are, or what she's trying to achieve here. Or do we just assume that she's just a person with a heart of gold?
Well, I think that Isabel is definitely much more considerate than her sister. And I think she probably had to put up with Geneva growing up. And she is kind of like, you know, the nice sister. But I do think that she has a very strong, close friendship with Lord John Grey. And I think that John Grey has been, you know, telling her and singing Jamie's praises for a long time. And this is a man, Lord John Grey is a man that she is very infatuated with, is willing to look past a whole lot of questionable personality type things, or not but you know what I mean. I don't think Isabel is unaware of Lord John Grey's attractions. I think that she knows that he doesn't really have a choice in who he marries, and that he's going to eventually have to marry, and that she'll be, you know, the person there for him, and she accepts him for who he is. But I think that John Grey has a whole lot to do with pulling Isabel to the side and saying, you know, he's a good man. He's, you know, he loves his son. But I know that kind of, I'm sitting here, I'm watching you, and you're like, oh, I don't know about Isabel knowing about John Grey's.
So there's so much
orientation.
There's so much I want to say, and I'm trying to like keep my thoughts together, because to me, Lord John Grey loves Jamie Fraser. Like, Lord John Grey is in love with Jamie. So it's I think about when they were playing chess together, and Jamie asks him, like, you come all the way back to Hellwater, what, you can't find a chess partner outside, like somewhere else? And I'm like, we know why Lord John Grey is coming back to Hellwater. It isn't to play chess, it's to see you. And Jamie knows that too. And this is actually sort of the beginning of my very sincere dislike of Lord John Grey. Because it seems to me, and people will see this, and you guys watching, you'll see this, and again, I want to hear from you, and it is, I promise, like, we can absolutely disagree, and it's fine. But it seems to me that people say that, oh, Lord John Grey, you know, he steps up when Jamie offered himself, that, you know, in exchange for Lord John Grey taking care of Willie, that Jamie would offer himself to have sex. And Lord John Grey, you know, he says that, you know, he wants Jamie, but he's too honorable to do that. And that, you know, isn't it honorable that Lord John Grey would marry Isabel and take care of another man's son? Isn't this honorable? And to me, it isn't honorable. I don't think it's honorable. Lord John Grey knows that he can't have Jamie, but he knows that if he marries Isabel, he can keep a piece of Jamie, i.e. Willie, with him forever. And that not only can he have this piece of Jamie, but that Jamie will forever be linked to him, will forever be thankful to him for taking Willie under his wing. So I don't see honor in it. I see calculation. I see Lord John knows that he can't have Jamie, so the next best thing is to have Willie. And that's like, Isabel is merely a tool that Lord John Grey uses in order to reach that end. That's how I perceived it. That's how I perceived it in the books, and I don't perceive it any differently in the TV show. Yeah. See, I said what I said.
And see, like now hearing this, because I've not read the books. I've not gotten as far as you in the books or at all, because I don't have time for that. So I'm sorry, but like you've read past this, so you obviously have more context for Lord John Grey than I do. But when I read this, I was like, okay, this is a man who's in love with Jamie, who's trying to do him, this favor almost, or trying to ensure that Willie is brought up in a very safe environment so that Jamie won't have to worry about him. Now, that is not to say that I don't think Lord John Grey has ulterior motivations, because I think that it is, well, I do have Willie in my life, which means eventually maybe sometime I'll get to see Jamie again. And I'm not even going to lie, it would be very it would just not be right of me to tell you that as you were saying that, my mind immediately went to Satisfied from Hamilton, where Angelica sings, like, at least I'll have his eyes in my life. Like, no matter, like, even though Eliza's married to Hamilton, at least Angelica gets to, like, see him. And so that's kind of like how it was. Like, even though I know I'm not going to have Jamie, at least I'm still going to get to see him because, Willie, and maybe I can be like, Willie and I are going to go see Jamie over, in Scotland. We're going to have a visit. And he does that sort of thing. So I'm really, really anxious to see where it turns for me. Like, I want to know what you know and see what you see in Lord John Grey's character.
Well, but the thing is, I acknowledge this, and I know this, that my opinion, the opinion that I just said, is a highly, highly unpopular opinion. I know that. I know people, Outlander fans, Cessnocks love Lord John Grey. And I know that I am in a really small minority of people who do not like Lord John Grey. So I do not want to offend anyone at all. But that's just how I feel. I felt that way ever since I read book 3. Ever since I read book 3, and like my disdain for Lord John Grey just continued to deepen through book 4 and book 5 and book 6. But I will say this. Last 123 made a comment on last week's video that really struck a chord with me that I wanted to read and just put out there. So last 123 said, Lord John Grey is one of my favorite characters. I've read all the books in the Lord John series. So Lord John Grey has a separate series. Fumbi, as a book reader, I would encourage you to contemplate the parallel that can be drawn between John and Frank, considering what John will be doing for the next 20 years. So I've never thought of this, right? So for me, and I mentioned this last week, one of or the main redeeming thing for Frank is that he raises another man's child and pours his love into Bree and really takes Bree on as his own daughter. And Lord John Grey does the same thing with Willie, right? As we now know that Lord John Grey will raise Willie as his own son and is even marrying into this family in order to do that. But I guess the slack I'm willing to cut Frank, I'm not willing to cut Lord John Grey. And I mean, book 4 is going to be made into a TV show. So Lord willing, in 1 year, when we're back here to talk about Outlander season 4, everything that I've been saying will come to like that. It will come out and we can have that discussion. Because I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't read, but I'll just say that no, I'm not. I'm grateful to Lord John for doing this. I'm glad that Willie grew up grew up feeling loved, even in the absence of his real father, the man who he believes is his real father, and the man who actually is his real father. But I have no love for Lord John Grey.
And see, I'm really looking forward to that turning point as well, just because you and I, we have very similar tastes in novels. We have very similar opinions when it comes to these sort of things, and so that point I'm looking forward to, because I know that you have a reason, and I really, really want to see that reason, because I feel like I've got all these like positive feelings for Lord John Grey right now, and I know given this storytelling that things can change. So
I want you to bask in those positive feelings. And I feel really bad that my book experience isn't letting me bask in my positive feelings of Lord John Grey, because Lord John has done a good thing, right? And he does it out of very genuine love, like genuine, non-violent, non-manipulative love for Jamie. But I just believe so much to be problematic about, especially this. It's this part. Like I told you, I don't think there's anything redeeming that comes out of this Hellwater situation.
There's not.
And the fact that Lord John Grey marries into this family purely as a way of keeping watch over Willie, having this link with Jamie, even though he can't have the man himself. I'm done with it.
Oh, I've been done with it. And this just goes to show you what an innocent bystander I have been in all of this. I got sucked in season 1 because I was like, oh my gosh, time travel and Scottish Highlanders, sign me up for this. Mm-hmm. And I never really paid attention to, well, I did take note of the people who were like, hey, there's some problematic stuff here. But in my mind, I was like, time travel, Highlanders. And so I fell in love with Jamie and Claire. And I want Jamie and Claire back. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of me that feels bad that I wish these people ill. Not really ill. I'd love them to be happy, just away and with other people.
Yeah.
But I'm here for Jamie and Claire.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for Lord John Grey for what he's done. He seems at this point like a decent dude. Just trying to. I mean, he's got an unrequited love for Jamie. But. And I guess there is that one scene where Jamie kind of offers himself to Lord John Grey in response, like it saying, if you take care of Willie, then I'll give you me. And Lord John Gray's like, you know, as much as I'd love that, I can't. And so that's kind of was like, oh, okay. But with these stories, or with this story, it always feels like there's at some point a moment where it turns, where someone that you think was okay, or someone that you think was, you know, a friend or an ally, is all of a sudden you see everything they've done from a different angle.
Yeah. No,
and I see that, and I don't know if she comes back because I've not gotten this far, but I know she went back through the stones. I see that with Galus. Like, Galus is a friend. Galus is, you know, nice to Claire in season 1, but I think that there's something there with her that is, if you get in her way, that friendship, that trust that you've had in her, that confidence you've given her, she'll turn that in an instant.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see that. I see that in Galus. I see that in Dougal. I see that. Oh, I'm about to say something that's really unpopular. I see that in Jenny. I see that in Jenny. I see that in Jenny. The thing is, I don't know that we see that in Lord John Grey, but that's just, I'm just not going to like Lord John. So.
I'm just not going to like it.
I mean, perhaps that's just.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that's just my perspective, and we'll talk more. We will definitely talk more next season. When the thing that like really pushed me over the edge happens, and then we'll talk about it. But before we leave this part, I wanted to just talk briefly about the relationship between Jamie and Lady Dunsany. I mean, relationship is like a really heavy word for something that's like in passing, but I thought it seemed to me that Lord Dunsany severely underestimated his wife, right? Because remember, everyone was like, you can't tell Lady Dunsany that you're really a Jacobite because she can't handle it. She's going to hate you. And it seemed to me that when she found out the truth, she was hella reasonable. And she was like, yeah, you're a Jacobite, but you saved my grandson. So we basically bribed the coroner to say that Ellesmere died of quote unquote misadventure. Yeah. And you can go home to salad if you want. You know what I mean? She seemed really reasonable.
She did. I was really surprised by that. Because that scene where Isabel kind of comes up with the baby carriage, and we have baby Willie, and then, you know, I was expecting there to be kind of an exchange between Isabel and Jamie, but it became more Lady Dunsany and Jamie, and that kind of connection. And I know that no one says it, and I know Lady Dunsany later says, you know, he's spending so much time with Mac, he's starting to look like him. But there's a part of me that, like, truly wonders if Geneva's mother and father don't suspect. Because Jamie does take such a strong role in ensuring the safety of that baby after it's born, and Ellesmere is on the verge of killing it.
Did she? Wait, Jamie shot him in the head, right?
Yeah, like Jamie kills him, and like
shot him in the head.
Yeah, and like, what purpose does Jamie, a stable hand, like, what does he gain from putting himself in this position where he can be tried for murdering a member of the English aristocracy? Yeah. Like, what is his reasoning? That seems like such a very odd thing for a stable hand, especially one who used to be a Jacobite, to put himself in that position of.
Yeah.
And so there's a part of me that wonders if deep down, if Geneva's parents don't suspect.
Yeah.
in some way Jamie's connection to Willie.
Yeah. No, and I remember watching that scene and I just thinking to myself that Ellesmere, you messed up. Like, because if you think that Jamie Fraser is about to stand around and let you threaten his son, like I believe that even if Ellesmere would have handed over that baby, I wouldn't be surprised if Jamie would have shot him in the head anyway. Well, maybe not the head, maybe the arm or something. But there was no way that Ellesmere was gonna get away. And like I just see, like, I hate to, like, it's because Jamie shoots him, he drops the baby and he just walks over and picks up the baby. And like Ellesmere is bleeding into the carpet. Ain't nobody even paying attention to Ellesmere. Like, let's focus on the baby. And Jamie picks up the baby opens his eyes, and those are Jamie's eyes. Those are Jamie's eyes.
And there's a part of me that even though they don't ever acknowledge it or want to acknowledge it, because that would put Willie's claim on his inheritance and his estate and his title at risk. There's a part of me that wonders if they do have a suspicion about Jamie's involvement in or paternity where it comes to William.
Yeah. But the thing is that even if they have a suspicion, right, they can't, there's nothing to be gained from saying anything, right? Because right now, Willie is the sole heir to Ellesmere. And there is even the hint of impropriety could jeopardize that. So yeah, Lord Dunsany will pay off the coroner. Lord Dunsany will do whatever he needs to make sure that his grandson is viewed as legitimate. But you know the conversation that Willie had when Willie and Jamie get into a fight, and Jamie calls him, you know, I'm not very fond of you either, you weak bastard.
Yes, I love that.
But Willie's reaction, he's like, I am not a bastard. You take it back. And I was like, ooh, you know, he felt that deeply.
He did.
So maybe there are rumors. And maybe little Willie has been hearing some of those rumors and is very sensitive about that. So
that is a good point. Like, I laughed. Oh my gosh, that warmed my heart. You wee bastard. Yeah, I loved that. But to the side for a second. Amy on our live feed, she wanted us to know that Geneva was a brunette, and so is Willie in the books.
Okay, so that is spot on with the show.
Yes, that is spot on with the show. Kiss Lena, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Jamie Claire reunion, 305, 306, 307.
How many episodes are in the season? What, 12 or 13?
13, I think.
13. Well, we do know that they filmed in South Africa together. So
yeah.
sometime they will get together. And in the preview for 305, we saw Claire in Scotland. She was at the A. Malcolm print shop. So maybe it's next week. Oh my gosh, what if it's next week? I'm freaking out.
All I know is, and I've told you this before, I am not above pretending that A. Malcolm like print shop sign that's in the TV series, I am not above pretending that was the same one that I touched at Comic-Con.
I believe them to be one and the same.
They're one and the same. That's, in my mind, that happened.
But I am curious, sort of transitioning a little bit to talk briefly about 1968, because throughout the episode, Claire, she was very cautiously optimistic about every sort of step forward they made to finding Jamie. But eventually by the end of the episode, she gets to the point where she's like, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to like spend my life chasing after a ghost. And they pack up. She takes down the timeline. They pack up and they go back to Boston. So if in episode 5, Claire eventually ends up going back through the stones, I'm really curious to see what happens between the ending of tonight and whenever Claire goes back to make her change her mind and take that risk. Because it seemed to me like Claire was done. She said her goodbye. They said her toast. Cheers. It's 1968. I can sit in the bar and have a drink if I want to. Had a drink and said goodbye. Freedom and whiskey.
I guess there was a part of me that as I watched Claire this episode, I wonder if she's lost so much. And she and Bree have kind of had a very rocky relationship because we kind of pick up with Claire in this episode where we left off in season 2.
Exactly.
And so we've kind of had a rocky relationship with Bree and Claire. You know, Frank has passed away. There's just so much there that I wonder if Claire, because you do say she's cautiously optimistic, and she really is. If she's not ready, like she's not ready for another loss. Like, she doesn't want to read those historical books. She doesn't want to read those journals and find out that Jamie died here, or Jamie was gone here, or he disappeared here.
I see what you're saying.
That's just another loss. Because in her mind right now, she can just imagine that Jamie did live a long life and that he was okay. But when she opens up a book, it could be the one book that tells her that Jamie Fraser died and is no longer in existence.
Yeah.
And I think that would be so devastating for Claire after she's kind of hit so many losses.
Yeah. No, when you put it that way, that makes a lot of sense to me. That the anxiety would maybe kill me, right? The anxiety of of maybe he's alive, maybe he's not. Is this the piece of evidence that shows us that he is alive? Or is this the piece of evidence that confirms that he's dead, right? So that is quite scary. I see what you're saying there. But your point about Bree is actually interesting as well, right? That we do go back to a situation where and Bree says it herself, right? That now that she knows the truth, there can be an honesty between her and her mother that wasn't there before, and they can be close again. But just when they're getting close, her mom might leave her to return to the love of her life. And Bree might not, and even Bree says it, like, what if something happens to her when she's there? Or what if she doesn't want to come back? Right. So she does not want to lose her mom. So that was, that really got me in in my heart. Hello? Hello?
Hey.
I have no idea what's going on. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I just pretend to be a statue. Because that's where I'm at in my life right now.
I'm so sorry. I have no idea what keeps happening. This is horrible.
No, it's fine.
So the last thing I remember saying is that Bree doesn't want to lose her mom.
Yeah, Bree doesn't want to lose her mom. And I think at the end of this episode, she understands, not really understands, because I don't think that she can fully understand the loss that Claire has endured. But I think she sees the toll this is taking on her mother to go through these books and to not find answers, or to even find the name, but find out that it's from 16 something, like 100 years before, and not the right time. And it hurts for her I think it hurts for her to see her mother like that, but I also think she wants her mom to be happy. But do you want your mom to be happy and never be around you again? Or do you want your mom to be happy and stay with you? It's such I don't know. It's going to be such a dramatic thing. I think that if Claire, when Claire makes it back, that she definitely, I don't think that it will be, how do I say this? Like, I feel like she'll try and figure out some way for Bree to know she's okay. Like, because she'll want her daughter to know she's okay. Yeah. Because she loves Bree so much.
Yeah, my lips are zipped because I don't want to give any spoilers.
But. I know, right? But Kay Racine, she wanted to point out that Freedom and Whiskey is the name of the next episode.
Okay.
And yes, Freedom and Whiskey.
Freedom and Whiskey.
Freedom and Whiskey.
That might become one of our favorite phrases ever.
I know, right? I love it. And episode 6 is A. Malcolm. And that could be a reunion episode there, because there is a break between 5 and 6.
Okay, potentially.
She's my theory person right now. I'm going with her.
That is, well, we're at the point, right, where it seems to me either Claire is going to go through with it, or she's just going to like quit forever.
See, that's where I'm at. Like, does she go through with it? Does she leave Bree? And if she does leave Bree, what happens in between this episode and her leaving Bree that makes her feel okay with this?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Such a huge thing. And I hate to pull like the mom card over here, but like I could not imagine leaving my child and not knowing if they're okay, and them not knowing if I'm okay. And so that's such a huge decision. And as much as I want to see Jamie and Claire together, and I do know that they filmed in South Africa together, so it does happen.
Yeah.
I do feel for Claire, especially when it comes in terms to parting ways, if or when she does that with Bree.
Yeah.
Because that is her daughter, and that's someone that she's loved and that has gotten her through these last 20 years.
Yeah. But at the time, like ooh. Sorry, I need to mute that. So it seems to me that perhaps part of what might convince Claire that she can go is that that Bree has found someone in Roger, so that Bree won't be alone. Maybe, right? I mean, they shared their first kiss.
No, I am like the captain, captain of the Bree Roger ship. I need this to happen. These are two just lovely individuals who deserve happiness, and I'm for it. I'm here for it, and I want it to just, I mean, I know that this show is not rainbows and puppies and unicorns all the time, but if you could just give me a single episode where it is rainbows, puppies, and unicorns to get me through the angst, I'd be fine. I would not hate it if it was Bree Roger at all.
No, it was so funny because like Fiona is there and Fiona is clearly interested in Roger. Bree sees it. And when Bree asks him, oh, you know, when I first arrived, I thought Fiona was your girlfriend. And he's like, girlfriend?
Oh, but I'm girlfriend here.
Inside, he's like, the only girlfriend I want is you.
God bless his heart. He was like,
their kiss. So I was glad of that. And I think maybe if we're sort of speculating about what might change, maybe that's part of it, that Claire sees that Bree does have someone she can rely on, and maybe that's enough to convince Claire that she can leave her daughter and go back.
Yeah, and I mean, we know that there is we know they filmed together, we know that's coming.
Yeah.
And I am 100% on board with Bree Roger. Yeah, like sign me up. I'm here for it. I think he is so sincere and precious and sweet. And I love Bree and how strong she is. And oh my gosh, I just got completely confused. Do Bree and Claire have a conversation this episode about her personality?
I don't think so.
Okay, see, so I'm ahead, so I'll be quiet.
Okay. No.
Just stop saying.
The thing, they haven't even had a conversation about the pearls. So you know how Fiona gives Claire back the pearls?
Yeah, so pass. Just forget I said anything.
Yeah. And that triggered so many memories, even that scene, because it was like, you remember their wedding nights and how many times they had sexy times. And then he gives her the pearls, and the sexy times right after that are so they're so passionate, and she's wearing the pearls, you know, and it's like this intimacy between them, you know, it's really great. So I'm glad those pearls made their way back to Claire, but
it is.
So it's Jamie is now we ended the episode with Jamie in 1964.
Jamie's
in 1964.
Jamie's in, no.
Sorry, 1764. I was like, what? Exactly. Sorry. I was confused. I apologize. Jamie is in 1764. And Claire is in 1968, right? So
yeah,
in 2 years, they will sync up. So 1766 and 1968, those are the times that go together. So in fact, tonight's episode ends where Jamie ends in the same sort of time-space continuum where last week's episode ends with Frank's death.
Okay, I'm with you.
If that makes any sense. I'm confusing myself, so I don't even know why I attempted to.
Tonight's episode, Jamie ends in the same year that Frank's death happens.
Yes.
But Claire is now in 1968. So they're not quite lined up yet.
Not yet. There's going to be 2 more years of Jamie doing something before Claire potentially syncs back up with him. I've confused myself. I think that makes sense. But basically, all I want to say is that we are almost at the end of the 20 years. So, and I said at the beginning, and I meant it, I really believe we've reached rock bottom. I really believe we have lost and lost and lost and lost to the point that I don't know that there's anything left to lose except for their lives. So here we are.
Like that. You know that she lives by George R.R. Martin.
DG. No, I mean, I've read 6 books, and
I can ensure their safety through 6 books.
I read 6 books, and I'm pretty sure there are 8 books, and the 9th on the way. So, you know, the story continues. But with that said, these 4 episodes have been tough. I thought season 2 was tough. I always felt that way. I thought Dragonfly and Amber, the book, like it gutted me.
Oh, God.
But Voyager is really, really difficult as well. So, I mean, we just keep plugging along, though. That's all we can do. We keep watching, we keep hoping, we keep wishing for them to have good things, and we'll see what happens. 20 years is a long time, man. 20 years is a long time, and as we've seen, a lot happened over those 20 years.
And we've still got 2 years left for Jamie. So, what's going to happen in those 2 years for Jamie? I don't know.
I don't know either. Yes, I do. Because
I say that as like
no spoilers. Is there anything else, Katie? That's all. I'm trying to think if there's any other scene or anything else that I wanted to mention about tonight's episode. It was a tough one. It was an emotional one. I feel like my recap was the longest that we've done, and I'm pretty sure this is the longest video review that we've done too, because there's just so much to unpack.
I mean, there was, and we didn't spend a whole lot of time on Claire and, you know, Bree and Roger in 1968, but I really think that a whole lot of that happened in season 2, because that all took place because we kind of meet up with them in this time period, and we know everything that happened in season 2 that kind of led to that. And so we did spend a whole lot of time on Jamie, but Jamie's time at Hellwater, I mean, that is a huge turning point in his life. That is a major milestone, and it's sad and painful, and it's his rock bottom as he's trying to not cry as he rides away from his son.
Oh my gosh. I just need to say that Sam Ewan, his brilliance needs to be shouted from rooftops. He is so brilliant, and like just the facial expressions, time and time again since the battle joined up until tonight. Sam Ewan has brought it like a freaking pro, and I just all the awards, give them.
I love him so much. And I mean, I think he's such a wonderful actor, but he really is so underrated. Like, I think people really don't give him enough credit for his performance in this show at all.
Yeah. But hopefully that changes really soon, because
I hope so, because he deserves it.
Katrina is fabulous.
Yeah, Katrina is
Tobias was fabulous. But dang it, Sam Ewan, you are fabulous too. So the link to our full recap with new clips is below. The link to enter our giveaway, which includes the Outlander Stars Tie-In book and the season 3 soundtrack, like I mentioned, is below. So please enter, please comment, please share all your thoughts, everything. We want to hear it. Katie, any last points you want to make?
No, I mean, you covered it all. Guys, check out our giveaway. It's awesome. It's fantastic. There's so many cool things you can win. Just entering, and it's all for you and for your support for us, for We So Nerdy, and definitely enter that giveaway. Like, go down there and read Fumi's review because it's outstanding.
Oh my gosh, you stop it. Thank you. It took me like 4.5 hours to put it together. So thank you guys.
Wonderful. And you all need to read it, so go.
Thank you. You guys are the best. And seriously, I know this was a tough episode, so please, even if you disagree with everything that we say, let us know. Tell us, and we read every single one of the comments. So we hope to hear from you. Thank you guys so much again for joining us. And happy October, and enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a great week.